Hey everybody, this is Mike Raso, Film Photography Podcast, and I'm here today to talk about the amazing MoviKon 8mm movie camera. And today, assisting me is John Fideli, who is holding the camera. Hi, John.
Hi.
So this was gifted to me by fellow FPP podcast broadcaster Leslie Lazenby. And when this showed up in the mail, I was really astonished. I'd never seen this camera before. I had no idea that this camera even existed. So it's the Zeiss Ikon MoviKon 8 camera. It takes double 8mm film. And for those of you who don't know, double 8mm film is... double 8mm film is film that's 16 millimeters in width. And what you do is you load it in your camera, and it's called 8mm, regular 8, because you shoot one side, and then when you're done shooting your roll, you take the roll out, flip it, and then you shoot the other side, which leads to two 8mm side-by-side images that are on this film that are cut in the lab to create one 50-foot 8mm reel of film. Or if you're shooting negative film, it's cut digitally, which means you receive back your original 16mm width film. Are you following that? Mm-hmm. The MoviKon 8, it came out in the 1950s. It's a beautiful camera. It is a fully manual camera. There's no batteries in this camera. You just wind it up to shoot. And it shoots 16 frames per second, which gives you a fixed shutter of 1/30th of a second. That's very important if you're going to use a handheld light meter so that you could set your f-stops. The f-stops are on this lens. I don't know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm. You can see it.
F16, and it opens to f1.9. Very good. Nice. Also on this lens is your focus, and these are your focus length. And I want to guess, because this is a West German camera, that this is meters. So you will need to do a meter to feet
conversion.
Yes, thank you. Conversion if shooting here in the U.S. And you just adjust it by turning your lens. Of course, when you turn your lens, make sure you don't accidentally adjust your f-stop setting.
Stoops.
Exactly. This is your wind to wind the camera. On the top of the camera, let's look at the top of the camera. Here is the shutter release button, which you kind of just, what do you call that?
Slide it.
Yeah, you slide it, and the camera runs. The amazing thing about this camera is I've never heard an 8mm camera that purrs as quietly as this camera. Listen. I mean, you could barely hear it. Here on the other side, there is a E. I don't know what that means, but if you turn it to L, then you're doing frame by frame. Oh. So turn it back to E. Here is your footage counter. Here is this is for a...
flash?
What do you call a plunger thing?
Oh. Yeah, plunger.
Yeah, this is for a cable release.
Oh, that's what they call it?
This is for cable release if you wanted to do the frame by frame. This top, you may be saying, well, what is this on the top of the camera? I guess it's for a flash or a movie light. It's actually not, but what I've done with this camera when shooting indoors is I've actually taken a light panel and I've just put it onto this cold shoe, which is what it's called, to create a camera that now has, a light on top of it. I mean, how brilliant is that? That's what I use it for, but I have to tell you, that's not what that's for. The cold shoe on top is for a lens adapter wide angle kit, which you could buy separately, and you do see these on eBay. And what it is...
Oh.
Yeah, no kidding. It is a wide-angle lens adapter.
What?
Yeah, this is a...
How do you put it on?
This is a super wide-angle lens, and it's simply Watch this, John. Wow.
German craftsmanship.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And this shoe on top is for the eyepiece so that when you're shooting with your wide-angle lens, you have the proper, perspective of what you're shooting.
Beautiful.
Really, really amazing. So this is an accessory that I had to have. On the bottom of your camera are your various tripod threads. On the back of the camera, eyepiece, and the compartment, your film compartment, which is, to me, the most unique thing about this camera. So that's it. It's a really simple camera. Let's load the camera. Once you load your film, remember not to open your film compartment until your roll is complete. So you open up the back of the camera, and there's a little diagram here. I don't know if you can see it. That is very helpful, which shows your full roll of film and then your take-up spool.
Got to twist it.
You have to twist it. So film that you buy, let's say from the FPP online store, will say side 1. Here's a roll of test film. It'll say side 1 or, side 2, because you will be shooting both sides of your film. Now, what I have found with this particular camera is you can kind of throw that out the window.
Yeah.
And I say that because when you load your first side, it'll say side 2. So take all your information that I've been talking about of how to load your regular 8mm camera, and for this particular model, I guess just throw that info out the window, because this camera is totally unique. So here is your film plane. You open that little door, and here is your film gate where your film actually passes through. And if you follow this little guide, you'll find out that it is very correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my film, take my take-up spool, and I'm going to thread it into the take-up spool. By the way, you should be doing this in you should be doing this in very dim light. This is known as a daylight spool, which means that most of your film is protected, but you do want to do it in very dim light. So essentially, always remember, this is the key for any camera, that the emulsion side, the dull side of your film, is the photosensitive side, and that is the side that will always face your lens. The shiny side is your base side. You do not want to shoot on the shiny side. So knowing that the dull side has to face the lens, you would just simply, this is how I do it at least, I put the film in the gate. Nicey nice there. I usually close the gate. And once it's in the gate, you could feel like a little pin in there. It'll hold the film. And then, as per the diagram, I will put my film on the spool, on the post, like that. And then put the take-up spool on the other post, like so. Yeah, no, exactly. Kind of weird. And then I will do like a little test before I close up the camera. Holy smokes! You can look at that. This is the most incredibly strange,
but finely machined
camera I've ever seen in the motion department. But you put your lid back on. Okay. Close up your compartment. Make sure you're all wound up. Make sure your camera's wound up. If you want to get all wound up before you start, I don't recommend getting all wound up. As a matter of fact, when you're loading your camera, I always give the same advice. Send your friends and your people and your family, send them away. You don't want people bugging you because you don't want to get the film sweats when trying to do something,
You don't need an audience for your film sweats.
No. So now it's loaded, and you would start shooting. So this is a test roll, so I'm just going to roll this out. Now, we're going to be listening very closely because some people say, oh, how do I know when my film is completely off the reel? When is the film done? You can look at your film counter, but also, once you become intimate with your camera, learn to listen to it. And you will hear, you'll hear like you'll hear. Have you ever heard the film roll out, John?
Of course.
Yeah. So just let's listen. Did you hear that?
Yep. There you go.
So that was just a short test roll. So now we're done with side one.
And listening closely is good advice for any relationship. You and your camera, or you and your girlfriend, or whatever.
Thank you, John. Get that off, and there you go. There you have it. So now your film is on your take-up side, and the thing to remember is the take-up spool always remains with your camera when you're done complete, meaning this spool will be empty when you're done shooting side one and side two. So this is what we're going to do. Take this roll off. Open our film gate. Here's our film. Now, when I say flip it, I'm not kidding. You literally flip the film. Take up side, flip it. Put your film onto your take up. Get enough on there so that... Yeah, okay, good. Now, once again, always remember the dull side will face your lens. So you put your dull side on your film gate. Beautiful. Close the trap door. And now, once again, putting there and there. Now remember, this camera, your spools may say side one or side two. For the MoviKon 8 camera, ignore that because of the very unique loading situation, unlike any camera I've ever seen. So now let's see if it works. Yeah! It's pretty good to me. Now we'll close this back up. I feel confident that this is the right thing. Now let's see. Sounds good to me. We're done with side two. You've completed your roll of film, and you will know that because when you open the back of the camera, all of the film, here is your take-up spool, that stays with the camera. Now it's empty. And here is your original roll of film, now completely shot, both sides. Remember to, this is a test roll, so I'm not too worried, but remember to put the rubber band back around and place the film back in its black bag or tin it came with, and hopefully you'll be sending it off to Film Photography Project, filmphotographystore.com for developing and scanning. We offer film for this camera in many different flavors. One more thing, I haven't sourced it, but they did make back in the day like a light kit for this camera. I mean, it was a ridiculous, like 1,000 watt, crazy hot light kit that you would use with this camera. I'm sure you could find it on eBay. And what I have found very handy is this wide angle kit, which is beautiful and it works beautifully. And then, of course, if you're not using your wide angle kit and need some light indoors, grab a cheapo light panel, and then you could just put that on top of your camera, and you could shoot indoor with a light panel. That's it for this segment. I highly recommend the Zeiss Ikon MoviKon 8. This is one of my favorite regular 8mm cameras. It's beautifully made. The registration, the way the film runs through the film gate is so smooth, is so tight, that I would say that this may be the best regular 8 movie camera that I own. So that is all. See you soon.
Das hat mit ihren 8 Millimetern die MoviKon getan.